Good evening. Ushy, Mohandas goes by various names. Today we are lucky to have you. Many feathers to our cap, which includes she's a doctor by profession, scientist and an academic by passion. She's been a dean of a reputed hospital, occupied various positions, more than a dozen prestigious schools seek her advice, and she is one of the most sought after train the trainer programmer and a leadership coach, relentless mental health advocate. She's been a TEDx speaker more than 3 times, if I'm not wrong. She's called by various names: Doctor of Words, Master Healer, Formula One speaker, Iron Lady, Dr. Tung Fu is some of her names. Having known her, I think she's the apt person to present this talk in the New Generation Month, because her relentless passion to learn something new is something which inspires us. The last time I spoke to her 1 month back, she said she's learning Tai Chi now. More than 8 lakh people across the globe are meditating thanks to her, because she teaches meditation. 2 books have been inspired by her stories. One, When Dreams Have Wings. 2, Eves Against the Odds. Without further ado, I'll let Dr. Ushy Mohandas take the floor. Thank you.
Be able to pull it out? Okay, just leave it there, I'll take it. Okay, thank you. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for having me. I stopped using the word ladies and gentlemen in the younger crowd. I just say hi humans, because they have strange objections to gender. And I too don't believe in gender anymore, I'm gender agnostic. So I'd like to make these things very clear that I'm religiously agnostic. I'm also gender agnostic. I'm a meat-eating, peace-loving person. And yes, I'm so glad that somebody has a spontaneity to applaud. Don't hold back your applause. I'm one of those cerebral item girls. I like whistling, applause, screaming. I'm not a Buddha speaker. So as human beings, we like a good response. We love affection. We love people appreciating us. We love attention. And for those of you who say, oh no, I don't care, please don't lie. It's just that you don't want to admit to it. Some of us take some time. Imagine I'm looking at an audience here and I'm telling one of these young men, I love you. What is the response? Okay? You know, I wouldn't dare say that to everyone though, because there can be consequences over there. So that you are responsible for what you say. My students say that God made a mold, He made you, and after He made you, He destroyed it because He didn't want another one like you. Right? My other students say that when she speaks, the devil sits up for advice. So it just means that there's yin and yang in everybody. After doing a session for 5 hours last week, somebody walked up to me and said, you know, the principal said Ushy, then somebody said Ushy's coming, the student head said Ushy's coming, and some teacher introduced me and said Ushy, Ushy, at least 1,000 times. And after 3 hours of the session, the lady walks up to me and says, thank you, Sushila, for the So human listening power is very poor. My tolerance level is very high, so I smile. But that was not what I'm going to share with you. The principal of the school, his name is Lopez. The lady who's a teacher in his school walks up to him and says, thank you, Lokesh, for this lovely work. And by the way, they're working with each other for more than a couple of years. In today's world, awareness is 0. And be it youth or super youth, I just believe that your awareness needs to be very high. I've been working with the mind for many years. Samarth also didn't hear what I said to him very well. He said, I began learning Tai Chi. I told him I'm teaching Tai Chi in 5 minutes. ladies and gentlemen, before I actually get into the topic, never trust doctors and lawyers. Because both are practicing. And none of them are perfect. Right? So I want you to understand that I come with a pinch of salt, I speak the truth. The last time I spoke, that was the last, because people don't call me more than once. No, I'm joking. I'm coming here many times. I miss my friend Chandra Mauli. And so I keep calling him Mauli, distant relative of Bruce Lee, who loves idli. So we can just go on, and the rest of it we can't share here. But he's a soul who's, we laugh a lot together. And I think it's all about laughing, and when we laugh, the brain dips in a certain amount of a functioning space, the rationale and the logic comes down, the emotions go higher, in which case your memory centers open up. Teachers forget that. They teach you too much. And I want you to remember, learning happens when you're relaxed. Everything, including potential. I don't see how I can add potential to such existing people, because you've already attained what you really need to. You're leading very fulfilled lives. You're actually serving in the Rotary. So I think that potential is a word which can be used by everybody, not just the youth. The topic which I chose is very, very close to my heart, because I deal with energy and energy management. So like you would say Chatterjee, Banerjee, Mukherjee, don't forget energy. And one needs to really bow down to it. The only difference between all of us in this room is your own energy, besides the blood group. And yesterday somebody asked me, tell us one thing about leadership, and I told them it runs in the blood. And he took it literally. And he was asking, which group? I told him I may be negative. So he's like, but you're full of positive thoughts. I said, it literally has nothing to do with your literal blood group. So people get you wrong all the time. You've seen me now for exactly 7 minutes. 6 minutes to be precise. Give me one word that describes me.
Fun-loving.
Fun-loving, is it?
2 words.
Oh, that's 2 words. And fun-loving is a very big word.
No, you made fun, we love it.
I make fun, we love it. Alright, thank you. What about you, young lady? Empower? Empower? Yes, nice. Good word. What about you, sir?
Boisterous.
Boisterous? Which parts? Alright. What about you?
Amazing.
Amazing. Yes, love the word. There are 3 words I'm going to give all of you today before you go. If you want to trigger your energy in a nanosecond. When people get angry, your energy is very high, but it's not in a good way. Cortisol is the #1 enemy of health today. If all your Madhya Pradesh is growing, it's only because of cortisol. And I mean a big tummy, right? So try and get what I'm saying, also what I'm not saying. So as a doctor, it's my responsibility to tell you, potential is something which is very closely associated with energy. If some people are loved more, I observed the applause. When certain names were being said, everyone was like, ah, and clapping. And when certain names, it was like, yeah, I mean, what the heck?
It was related to the amount.
Related to the amount. Alright, not just the amount, also the person. So there are certain connections we feel. And there's a certain amount of space people occupy in your head. So when it's a memory, it's either a good one or a bad one. And some you just don't care about. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to just quickly share that what is potential? It is nothing but overcoming limiting beliefs. All of us are limited by belief systems. We are limited by ideas. We are limited by environment. We are limited by what we do. How many of you are married? How many of you are happy? All the hands went down. Okay. And for those of you who are not married, may I see a show of hands? Alright, so great. And all your teeth are out. All your teeth are out.
He's right.
So I crack a lot of marriage jokes. I hope I have your permission. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah. So please respond when I ask you a question. Don't tell me later that she's a bad girl. Because I am. Alright. So, am I audible?
Yes.
Do you understand my style of speaking?
Yes.
Alright. So is it alright to use bad words?
Yes.
Dad, don't get offended. Because that is me. That is me. So if I'm angry with somebody, especially my boss, I'm not going to look at him and say, you intellectually compromised man, please behave yourself. I'm going to say, be magane. So I'm very, very simple. So, you know, when you're angry, please don't try and be refined. Associate with your emotions. Many of us refuse to do it. We are looking at people we don't like and we say, oh sir, so nice to see you. Andar se main soch rahi hu ki ye kab marega. It's like, it's a very natural thing in life. It's a very natural thing in life to like and dislike people. When you're young, especially the youth of today, with due respect, I work with all of them when I teach my BPA and my MBA students. They live in a world where the missiles are guided and the men are misguided. They live in a world where the construct of time and distance is just there on the internet. Everything is just a click away. Everything you can order with just a click. Everything in the world you can do except make babies online. Even that is possible with certain apps. It's a left swipe or a right swipe. Alright, and there's lots more to it. We can't discuss it here, otherwise you're going to throw me out. But let me just tell you, I just finished a convocation address. And all I told them is, it's all about potential. If you are someplace 10 years from now, it's about potential. If you are not in some place 10 years from now, it's about potential. You haven't used it. All of us in this room are gifted with the same brain, which is 1200 grams. Why is it that some of us do very well and some of us are still to do so well? People may say luck. In the given time, let me tell you, it's energy. Please keep your energy always optimized and your brain starts functioning always. It's like your charged phones, charged devices. You have to charge yourself every day. It does not happen just like that. You cannot go to a sad guru and charge yourself. You need happy gurus for that. And that's exactly what I'm trying to tell you. You will be exploited if you have a space in your brain. Please understand that the best help is at the end of your own arms. The only limitation that you ever face in your life is your own mind. And the biggest competitor to all of us is just who you see in the mirror. So when you look at yourself from tomorrow, remember what I'm saying. Crazy old lady, what is she talking? Try me. I'm here to stay. 3 months you try this and then tell me if it's working or not. What would you do? The first thing that you do in the morning is look in the mirror. Just imagine you're looking in the mirror. You're seeing yourself. And what will you say? Wow. And I want you to feel it. Not like wow. I want you to think it, feel it and say it. It's called linear alignment. And that's what brings in energy. That's what brings in potential. Why do sporting people say this? Why do they say yay and whoa and all that stuff? It's because your physical body can trigger the mind, your mind can trigger the physical body. You can use both to help each other. All medical issues are because you're not utilizing your potential. You're not energizing yourself consistently. If someone's a performer, if someone has high, lofty ideals, and you're not able to reach it, it's not only the energy, you're procrastinating. It's a huge enemy. I cannot talk about everything. I'll address questions very soon. But I want you to remember just 2 or 3 tips which you can take back with me, by means of which you'll feel more energized. It's natural by the end of the day you feel a lot tired. Yes or no? Yes. Sometimes you sleep 9 hours and get up tired. It's because in today's world everyone sleeps in what we call beta. You're just physically lying down but mentally you're still active. Your system is not switching off. The alpha state of the mind has now become 0. And that's why I teach people how to meditate. I want you to remember there are 3 or 4 ways in which you can trigger energy. Would you want to know about it?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's non-medical. Outside of this room, I charge in lakhs. So just learn it quickly from me because it's time-tested. I'm a researcher. We've done enough of meta work on thousands and lakhs of people. There are 10 lakh people across the world who use this technique to meditate. I just want you to remember the triggers. That's more than sufficient. Look at your neighbor, please. Just look at your neighbor. Whoever is sitting next to you. Don't worry, man, woman, anything in between. Just look at them. Alright, look at each other in your eyes. Look at each other in your eyes. Those of you who don't have company, just find yourself some, even if it's distance, you can look at them. Okay, once you look at each other, look at them in the eye, okay? India. Now I want you to imagine they're the most handsome hunks, the best looking babes, anything that you want to imagine, Sunny Leone, anything that you want, you can just imagine. And what will you say? You look at them and say, wow, you're awesome. And I want you to say, so you see what you're doing? You're awesome. What's happening? You're getting charged. Which areas of your brain are functioning? I can be like a terrorist and give you all the big scientific data, but I choose not to. Just remember, it takes only 3 or 5 words to stimulate your brain. Your brain loves those words. It's been researched. What are the 3 words? One is wow, second is awesome, third is yes. Alright? Yes. Yes. But when you say yes, you got to stress the S sound. Not yes. It has to be yes. Whenever you say anything with S, you stretch the S sound, and believe me, 12 volts of energy gets generated in your brain. That's why if I'm going to tell her, hey, you look sexy, she's like, But now I just look at her, and she make the connect. Yes. She's also looking at you, and then you say, you look sexy. She's got a better smile, she feels good. Everything is about neuro-linguistic programming. The brain is programmed by words. The brain is programmed by emotion. You've got to understand this. Why? Because you need potential. Do you want me to give you details like goal setting, step number 1, step number 2, or would you prefer this? I need you to tell me. Yes? Yes. All right. These are doable things. Everything else is available in books. Everything is today, everyone's a graduate from Google University. The rest of you are postgraduates from WhatsApp University. In times of COVID, I had patients who were putting lemon in their underarm, garlic in their nose, onion in their ass, and they used to come to me, and say COVID is gone now. And I saw it on WhatsApp. We have so many issues with patients who have to unlearn. And they come to us with knowledge which is more than ours. And they come to test you for your knowledge. And that's why I tell people that some things cannot be learned on Google University, please. And that's called life. I've learned from life. And we put it into practice through research. Remember, there are 3 words you can use as triggers every time you're not feeling good to increase your potential. That is yes, wow, and awesome. When you're saying awesome, it's alright. But when you're saying yes, stretch the cell sound. It's a direct trigger to certain areas of memory. If you have people in your house also, you can just teach them. Alright? How would you say a yes? Just raise, how many left-handers in this hall? How many left-handers? Do you write with your left?
Yes.
Yeah? You write with your left? Okay, anybody else who's a left-hander? Okay. Only writing, okay? Other activities we can't talk about here. Because I've had the strangest of answers when I ask this question. So I just want you to remember that you have a non-dominant hand. And that non-dominant hand would mostly be your left hand because you're not using it enough. So what will you do? Please, yes sir, I know some memory has come back to you. Right. So you'll come back. Use your non-dominant hand for 5 extra minutes every day. Which means you make chapatis with your left hand, you iron with your left hand, you wash your clothes, wash your bike, wash your car, do anything with the non-dominant hand. You can even just raise that hand and keep pulling it toward your shoulder a couple of times, a few hours. And when you're doing that, I want all of you to please raise your non-dominant hand, which is your left hand, pull towards your shoulder, pull towards your own shoulder, and now, at the count of 3 together, it's called synergy, okay? We're all together. Alright, so just at the count of 3, pull towards your shoulder and say yes. Y-E-S with the extended sir. Alright, 1, 2, and 3. Yes! Now how difficult is that? And that's why when we teach martial arts, we teach people sounds. There are healing sounds. That's why when you meditate, you make sounds. There are many kinds of sounds. That's why when you're walking on the road, most of the men look at you and go, aha, wah, wah, you know all these sounds. It actually gives you a cheap thrill. It's not just like that. You look at somebody and say, hey, it doesn't feel good. You know, you have to run your tongue on your upper palate. Now please do that for me. Upper palate is nothing but your ungula. I want you to do that. It looks cheap. Jagdish, look at your neighbor and do that. People are inhibited, completely inhibited. Even a smile is so inhibited. If I go to one of the premier business schools in Bangalore and I crack a joke, the student looks at me like this. Ma'am, what is the meaning of this joke? Then I have to explain the meaning. I have to tell him nobody was hurt. I have to tell him it was published in the Journal of Comedy. It is nothing racial. Okay, nobody got hurt in the deal of cracking this joke. And then after I convince him with 1500 statements, he looks at me with the same serious face and says, nice joke. Because there's no laughter anymore. There's absolutely zero laughter. And it's because your brain is functioning at the lowest level of energy. That's why you're not able to smile. Can you imagine the most important muscle in your body, especially one that triggers energy within your brain, is called orbicularis oris. You know what that does? Stretches your mouth during a smile. But what do we use? Gluteus maximus. You're sitting on it. And ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಹೇಳೋದು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ಆಫೀಸಲ್ಲಿ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೆಟ್ಫ್ಲಿಕ್ಸ್ ಅಮೆಝಾನ್ ದಿಸ್ ದ್ಯಾಟ್ ಗೇಮಿಂಗ್ ಎವ್ರಿಥಿಂಗ್ ನಿಮಗೆ ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಸಿಗೋದು ಮೂಲೆ ವ್ಯಾಧಿ. You got to move off your butt. You got to actually get up as much as possible. Sitting is the new smoking. You got to be really careful. Every couple of minutes you got to stand up, activate your brain, keep it switched on when necessary, switched off once you're done. The problem here is you never switch off. The problem here is I'm watching him, but I'm not seeing him. Don't speak to people for more than 40 minutes. After that, they're just looking at you, they're not listening to you. If you're a parent, please don't even try. That's 11 minutes for you, for the younger generation. Anything beyond 11 minutes, it's like, oh, Monte Tala, who's this fatty? What are they saying? What is this? You know, when will they die? And you start thinking of your own serial, your friends, and whichever pub you need to go in the weekend, and some kind of good music, bad music, nothing else. Yesterday I had a student who told me we have a teacher. Ma'am, he spits on my face when he speaks to me and they call him Spitting Cobra. Everybody has a nickname today. And that's why Kung Fu, Doctor of Words, Healer, Master Healer. When I was coming here, there was somebody who met me near my house and she said, oh wow, you look like Arundhati Roy. What a humiliating way of explaining. I told her, please say I look like Einstein. I'm not. Because I respect my brains. I've earned it. I have more than 20 plus degrees in my hand. Except law. Because I have good lawyers here. And I always ensure that I have a team of lawyers with me because I know that I'll be treading on certain areas. It's got a potential because you're unique, because you're individual, because your capacities are just yours, nobody else's. The macroscopic organ is there, 1200 grams, but how you use it is what makes you who you are. People ask me, have you hacked something? You know, no, is too energy there? So it's because I keep triggering it, and you too can. It's very simple. It's non-pharmacological. Many of my kids' students have stopped using cannabis because they know how to get high now without it. And they come and tell me like, you saved lots of money and we are not in the flying club anymore. Which means that on the weekends they get high on their own. I want you to remember this, okay? Because kids, they want quick highs. Kids want instant gratification. And when I say kid, to me it's 30 years old. And I know people who come to me and say, ma'am, I'm cooking now, I'm on the dance floor. I feel so meditative. Absolute BS. That's not meditation. And BS is nothing but bullshit. Okay? BS is something which, if you want me to say it in a nice way, you just say, what fertilizer? You're going to look at somebody bald, I would say morte, because it feels good to me. But someone else will say, oh, you follicularly regressed. If that feels good to you, so be it. You can use those words. I went to Mount Carmel College the other day, summer,
Okay.
and there was a bunch of young girls, I thought of you. All right, and they were very pretty, nice girls. And you know what I heard there? I just heard each of them say, "Hi, bitch." And the other one said, "Yo, bitch." And I was like, in my time, if I said that, I mean, I would be nailed, hung, crucified, thrown out. And I just went up to the young girls and asked them, "How come you guys are calling each other this?" And they said, "We're great friends. And the greater the friends, the more the intensity with which we call each other that." So I learned something that day. And next day I came back for class. And I decided, wow, now I'm going to show them something new. I forgot Sister Teresa was sitting in the audience. And I looked at everybody and I said, "Hi, bitches, how are you doing?" And you know, I got this glaring look from Sister Teresa, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is the last time I'm coming to Mount Carmel. And you know what happened? She came up to me after the session and she said, "You naughty girl, even I want to say it, but I can't say it." Everyone wants to do things, they want to be mischievous, they want to do things. Don't pretend to be holier than thou, because none of us are. Don't say this is good, this is bad. Like I always tell people, I went to a software company and asked a young girl, "Do you drink?" And she said yes. And the old lady next to her said, "Pooh." That's the power of judgment. A nice, energized, potential brain will not be judging because it's too busy finding its own way. And that's why I tell people, I'm not bothered how green your grass is because I'm too busy watering my own grass. We poke our noses into people's business without a reason. We gossip without a reason, we talk rubbish, we are poor time managers. All of these are enemies of good potential. And I want you to remember this. A man who manages awareness, communication, and time is a master of life. And I want you to remember this. Invest wisely in your time, use your triggers, always speak what you think and what you feel. If it's not really something that you're confident of, think, feel, and stay quiet, but don't say the opposite. Sometimes we end up saying things which are completely the opposite of what we think and feel. It's called non-linear conversations. You've got to be very careful because your brain is programmed to be straight and linear. You end up taking it this way. And after about 10 rounds of that, your entire processor comes down. It's like watching porn with low Wi-Fi. You've had that experience, haven't you? You know why I'm saying that? I mean, I've seen my friends so frustrated. Oh, it's not just nothing, you know. And it happens to many of us. And that's really what the brain goes through, low buffer. And then when you're stuck in that buffering, then it's a big problem because your entire body works on chemicals. It works on water and chemicals. 90% water. That means we're all cucumbers with emotion. It's so dangerous, can you imagine? Hormones are what keep you in great potential. If somebody's achieving, it's because you have adrenaline. You know how to channelize it. You have cortisol, but just enough to take you to a place. And as a doctor, let me tell you, you're just your chemicals and your hormones. If you manage your hormones, there's no question of you being sweet brothers. You cannot be diabetic. And if you are, you can reverse it. Every single disease is preventable. And even if it comes to you and you're medicating, you can still reverse it. Please remember that natural things have only front effects. Medicines have side effects. And it's a matter of choice what you make. Do you want to do simple things? Simplicity is sophistication. Nobody likes it. If I do a talk for free, they ask me, you have nothing better to do, huh? They would never say, "Are you kind? Thank you so much." And that's the reason why in the outside world I charge. But I do have a special place for the Rotarians because for more than 10 years, I've been working with large district conferences across the Rotary, especially in North India. Bangaloreans somehow never call me. And I'm surprised when someone asks me to come here. I've done some big work because a couple of my students are the so-called higher-ups in the districts and divisions. And when I went for one of the conferences, somebody asked me, "Which district are you from?" I said, "Palakkad." the only district that I know. And it's a very dangerous place. I'm sure Keshav will understand. In Kerala, if you find more than 3 people standing together, it's a union. And you've got to be goddamn careful. Right? So, the point I'm trying to tell you, 1, you stopped smiling. 2, you stopped using orbicular disorders. 3, you stopped using certain dominant parts of your body. 4, you're lying physically, but you're not sleeping with your mind shut. These are the basics to switch on potential. Now, what are the obstacles? One obstacle is self-doubt. Can I or can I not? For those of you who have a big stomach, you know what I'm talking about. Ma'am, I never said that you're thinking about it. Alright? What's life without a pinch of humor? What's above belt, below belt? I don't understand. When I say nose, everyone's okay. But if I mention another body part, everyone is too. It's high time we got out of these situations in life and start normalizing most of the things that we really need to. You speak the truth. And it's really, really important. And in this context, let me crack a joke and you'll understand, hopefully, what is the lateral meaning of the joke. I believe a man was caught for stealing a dress. And the policeman asked him, why did you go to the same house thrice? He said, I stole a dress for my wife. She sent me back twice to change it. People are never happy with what they have. People are never happy. And I want you to be happy with what you have. You are so goddamn blessed. You don't understand how much misery a lot of people are going through. And I think every moment of my life when I'm breathing, that's potential. I believe that you don't need to understand goal setting and not breathe. I'd rather just have the breath, I'd rather just have the energy, and everything else will seem like a highway. What do? Just keep yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually fit. And that is something we are not capable of many times. It's a difficult job, it's not easy. It took me 30 years to be an overnight success. And now it's easy for me to share it with you because I've tested it on that many people. I went to Kerala, Keshav, and somebody asked me, Madam, do you drink? I was worried, so I looked at him and said, what are you offering? So he said, we don't have many things, we have only rum and coke. I would have fainted, but then I just asked him, who's offering it? And then he pointed out to the man who is offering it. And then he told me, there are choices. And I said, what choices? He said, there is a small cock. There is a big cock. And there's also a diet cock. In my career of 50 years, I've not heard of things like this. We had a good laugh when we just sat down. It's a memory which I'm sharing with you. And there are so many such memories. My husband and me went to Ahmedabad and we were invited to give a lecture somewhere. And men are generally egotist about certain things, alright? So my husband was invited to the stage and they said, here comes Dr. Porowal. He's a very important man from It's important. So there are errors in communication. And to add to it, insult to injury, they said, sir, the big hole is taken. We put you in a small hole. In Gujarat, it's not hall, it's hole. Oh wow! Holes are eliciting whistles. Alright. So what I'm trying to say is that we judge people. So we need to understand body language. We need to understand what is the person trying to say. Not really the words, there's things beyond the word. It's called energy, vibration. There are some people in your families who you don't like, they have not done anything to you. But the sight of them, you want to run away. You stay inside the house and say, I'm not here. You know, there are many people who come and ring the doorbell. And you feel like, oh my God, I have to bear up with this person in a wedding, in a birthday. They've not done anything to you. It's only the vibes. And that's why we keep saying, vibe is your tribe. And you've got to figure out who you get along with. But you know my secret? I hug those who hate me. You know what? It stresses them. And I feel good about it. And that's the best way. Is that a whistle or a cough? All right. So on a lighter note, I do stand-up comedy also for a living. Pardon me, I cannot be serious and I can't come here and give you gyan. Like my student said, ma'am, he showed us a PowerPoint, neither was there. So I'm not a PowerPoint person at all. The power is here, the points are here. So anything that you want, I'm only leaving you with certain things. The obstacles for you to generate your own potential. One, self-doubt. Second, limiting belief systems in your brain. I can't do this. If I do this, this is the consequence. Somebody told me I'm too old for this, I'm too young for this. That's a whole load of BS. Nobody's young and old. In today's generation, age does not matter. I've got very young friends who are 16 years old, and I've got friends who are, maybe 20 years old. And if you're looking at me and they ask me how old are you, I always say I'm 18 with 50 years of good experience. And so it's all how you feel. I don't relate to certain words. So what is the other obstacle? You're not able to accept your failure and your success. You keep denying yourself the failures and the success. No, it's not mine. Thank God, You must learn to accept things that come to you, the good and the bad. If you give people gifts, some of them just cannot take it. Giving is easy, taking is also not so easy. So you must learn to take and give. And that's how balance happens. The right and the left brain need to be balanced, by the way. And balance doesn't mean that you're going to stand and say this is 500 grams and that's 600 grams. No. It just means functioning. All of you, especially if you're right-handers and you're using the right dominant hand, are left strong because your brain is crossfired. If you use your right physical body, the left brain is strong, and that's what's happening to you. You need to use both sides, that's when you have your potential developed. What is the other obstacle? Self-doubt. It's very huge in today's world. No, people don't. Today's world, so many young children come to me and say, Ushy, I'm depressed. And I'm like, are you sad or are you depressed? And they're like, no, I'm depressed. And then if I don't still accept it, they say, I'm depressed like Deepika Padukone, I'm still depressed. So it's a brand value nowadays for depression. It's a very loosely used word, believe me, it's not so bad. I have a friend who called me 3 weeks ago, and she told me that her 15-year-old daughter was on the phone, and she just asked her daughter, she jumped off the 6th floor. She's got 14 fractures, she's crippled for life, she didn't die, but her mom is as guilty as hell. And she says, what the hell did I do wrong? So what happens to the tolerance levels? It's just come down. The triggers have become so low that people just think that I need to go and do something. Here, if you try killing me also, I'm refusing to die. And there have been many attempts on my life which have been written in these books some have mentioned. And let me tell you, life is awesome. Life is awesome. Just learn to say that to yourself. You're as sexy as you can get. Look in the mirror and go, wow, tomorrow. Let your spouse be annoyed. It doesn't matter. Let your boss be annoyed. If I like you, that's a wow. If I don't like you, it's a wow. Because then I feel really good. It's all about me. And that's exactly what I'm saying. Go into your washrooms in your workspaces. And what do you say? Wow! Wow! Inside there. And you know what? There'll be 10 people outside who are stressed because of you. Because they're wondering, what is this guy or this woman doing in the room? That's making them say, wow, wow, so many times. And I do that just like that. I go to a 5-star hotel into the loo and I say, wow, and I come back. And everyone's like, was there something wrong with her? Remember the trigger words that I told you. Remember the non-dominant hand. I want you to exercise it maybe 5 to 8 minutes every day. And the most important thing, watch out for what you say, not to others, but to yourself. One wrong word will take you almost 72 hours to recover from in terms of energy. One good word will keep you going for 48 hours minimum. But you always choose to say things, oh, Bangalore becomes so horrible, the trees are cut, the holes are there, the potholes are there. Oh, the Bangalore that I used to live in was like heaven. This right now, it became, everywhere you go, you make the heaven. It's not the people or the environment around you. And when you get nothing, of course, Mr. Mitro is always available. You can blame him. I never said it, he's recording me. And that's why I always tell people when they taught us neutrons, protons, electrons, they forgot about the morons. Think about it. Like I said, we live in a world where the missiles are guided and the men are misguided. We live in a strange, strange world where people are afraid of things that don't kill you. And let me assure you that things that don't kill you only make you stronger. So don't be afraid. Don't go to doctors. I'm one, but I'm telling you, don't go to doctors. They kill you faster than you deserve. And you can put me on record that. I have proof to tell you. And yesterday I was just, having a discussion with an alternate medicine, a homeopath to be specific. Because all the allopaths make fun of the homeopath. And I just asked the homeopath, these guys are making fun of you. He said, Ushy, show me one person who's died because of consuming homeopathic medicine. I can show you 100 who have died after consuming allopathic medicine. And that is the truth. They're too strong, and you've got to be very, very careful. Unless it's an acute condition, I will never prescribe a medication. And that's why I say it starts with allopathy, goes to homeopathy, finally goes to sympathy, and last of all, Tirupati. I'd like you to start the other way. And it works wonders. Why? Because we're talking potential. Potential is not tangible. I can't tell this gentleman, I love you 100 kilos. I mean, it's disgusting how people put it in books, etc. But for me, life has been an experience of your energy. It takes you where you need to go. How do you do that? Generate it. No cow is going to come to you and say, hey, I've come with the milk. You go there and make friends with it, be nice to it, clean the area, and it will gauge your vibrations, and you have to be very, very nice to it and slowly milk it, and even then you might get a kick. Nothing in life comes easy. And those who are ready to work hard, I'm sure that you will understand what potential is. These are big words. These are big words. Imagine me coming and telling you, madam, I need to exercise voluntary control of the bladder muscle. She's looking at me like. Instead, if I just tell her, madam, I need to make susu, it's so easy to understand. We complicate things. And I want you to start understanding that the more you complicate, the more the efficiency loss. The more you feel tired, the more you get angry, the more you're in Bangalore traffic, and finally you start screaming and I saw yesterday my friend and me, we were out, and suddenly one guy comes to bang his new BMW, and then this guy says, road ni moppanda. And this guy says, illa ni moppanda. And these two started quarreling as to whose father owned the road. And finally I'd say, Ammange kopa barta ide, I will go on. Because at the end of the day, you know what happens when Amma gets possessed outside the temple. So everyone is high strung. Everyone. And the worst part, I'm cracking up the last joke before I throw it open for questions. A patient walks into a hospital, real story, and he just said, I have a problem. And guess what? He went for CAT scan, MAT scan, PET scan, all kinds of scan, all kinds of tests, every fluid in his body was tested. He came back and they said, no, we don't find anything. There is no problem. He said, my car doesn't have petrol, I just wanted to ask where the gas station. The moment he said, I have a problem, they were sent to all the and he very conveniently went everywhere thinking what's happening because he trusted everybody. A lot of life depends on trust, respect, love, integrity. I'm not sure what those words mean to many of you, but to me, it's my life. And I will not compromise at certain levels, and that's why I keep telling people, die fighting on your feet, never begging on your knees. But we're ready to go down on our knees just like that. And that's exactly what people do, so that you can escape the situation, you can lie, you can cheat, and that's a quicker way to go wherever you want to go. People come up to me and say great things about certain people who write books. Let me warn all of you that with artificial intelligence, you can write one book in 3 days. And you can get it published. And you have ghost writers. You have all kinds of things today where you just don't believe everything that meets your eye. Do not watch television news because it's all a whole load of bunker. It affects your brain. Read newspapers if you can. Take what you need and just throw it out. If you have any questions, you should ask me. Otherwise, I'll just end with my favorite statement. Those of you who love me, please raise your hands. And those of you who don't, please raise your standards. Because that's what I love myself, and it's called self-interest. It's one of the most important traits that all of you can start nurturing from today. It's I love myself before I love the others. And the philosophy of giving oxygen before you put there and all that is a very outdated one. I would just say, आगे के लिए दो द्वार, पीछे के लिए दो द्वार, चारों नहीं खुले तो सीधा हरिद्वार. Life is actually very fragile. I've lost a lot of my friends after COVID. 16, 18, 20, 30, there's no age. Every day when you wake up, I want you to say one thing. Can you guess what that is?
Yes.
Or that you can, it's a risk you can take with whoever you're with. Alright? But I want you to say happy birthday. Because every day is your birthday. And believe me, you'll understand what I'm saying 5 years down the line. The vaccine has done damages. And I don't want to frighten you. But our body construction and constitution have changed. The body is a little confused. It's like running, a Mac system in a regular Windows. So it just doesn't know what's happening. It just doesn't know sometimes. So just every day, people ask me, when's your birthday? I tell them, today I just wish myself. And I think that's a great way to live. Do you have any questions for me? Otherwise, I'm so grateful to someone. I'm only here because of him. And then Molly from Switzerland texts me today and says, "Are you Amma? You're going and I'm not there." I said, "Yeah, I'll come again when you come." All right. So the last time I came in was when Molly had called me, maybe about 15 or 20 years ago. And that time it was the same kind of enthusiasm. I believe in love. If I can get a small space in your hearts, I think that's the only thing that I can take back from here. I want you to join me on Instagram. I'm on all social media except Pornhub. I'm there too, sir, but I can't tell you about it. Right? So don't underestimate or overestimate anybody. Just don't estimate anybody. Just accept them for who they are. So my name is Ushy, not Sushila. It's Ushy Mohandas, right? And for those of you who call me Usha, feel free. Somebody calls me Sushi, I'm okay with it. But at the end of the day, I want you to stay connected. It's very important for me because if I take back 20 people from here, then my day is made. Because the network is your net worth. And I believe in people like nobody's business. All my work has been with people. So if you like what I shared and you want to keep in touch and you're angry with me, you don't like me, either ways, please just give me a good round of applause because I really appreciate it. Because in this time, this is more than sufficient for you to take back. I don't want to give you theoretical stuff because in 4 hours you will forget it. But you'll never forget wow, awesome, and yes. I can assure you.
Yes.
Any questions for me? Any questions? Anything you might want to ask? Anything at all? Yeah, please, just shout out.
So many times we always say yes to people when we actually want to say no.
Yes.
But we don't have the heart to say no.
Yeah.
And at times I have seen therapists telling you to start learning to say no. So what is your thought? Because we were talking so much about yes.
Yes. Yes is just a trigger. Don't say yes to others. Yes is just a trigger. Next thing is, let me tell you one thing. Half the problems in life are because you say yes too quickly. Take 9 seconds before you say yes. If your gut tells you no, you need to say a no. And a very, very firm no at that. And if you keep saying yes to everything, you land yourself in the biggest mess that you ever can imagine. Because 90% of the problems in your life are because you said yes when you wanted to say no. And the yes I'm talking about is only a trigger, not saying it to others, saying it to yourself, like a sportsman would. Have you seen them? They're always like, yes. Yeah. So why are they doing that? Because there is a significance. There's a certain amount of nerve groups. It triggers here, and goes into your right parietal lobe. And that's exactly what happens when you say that yes. Alright, so saying yes and saying no, yes, you should say no whenever you shouldn't. And when it comes to therapists and counselors, let me give you a joke. I went to a time management workshop the other day, the coach came 15 minutes late. Hope you get the message.
How do you overcome instant gratification?
How do you overcome?
Instant gratification.
You cannot overcome instant gratification. You must start working on your mind to allow yourself the time and the space for delayed gratification. You cannot. There are some times when you make Maggie, it has to be ready in 2 minutes, right? You can't keep it for 10 minutes because I need it delayed. You'll get one soggy bunch of rubbish. So there are things where you can get instant gratification, but the delayed gratification part, you need to learn to meditate. If you don't know meditation, you won't know anything else. If you don't know how to make rice, you cannot make biryani. The main step is to learn mindfulness and meditation. There are different ways of doing it, some with clothes, some without clothes. Any technique that you want to learn. I'm not here to comment on that. I'm a scientist, I do music. Straight 15 minutes, you will be in the space that I want you to be. And that's called alpha. Because when you meditate, that's where you reach. If you ask me how to go to Brigade Road, all of us will have different routes, right? But there'll be one easy, good route. And that's exactly what you need to practice for yourself. So meditation is a good way to begin. But like I said, 30 years to be an overnight success. It distracts you. Anything else? Otherwise, I'm done. Go ahead.
What would be your advice to, 20-something-year-olds of today's world, where the world, is perceived in almost an upside-down way?
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
you mentioned with the younger generation,
Yes.
there's a lot of perception which seems upside down.
True.
What would be your advice to the younger generation? And how do you cope with it? How do you stay friends with people despite having these, controversial opinions?
There
Now
are
you
gaps.
can't-
Yeah, there are gaps. There are gaps. Like I said, one man's poison is another man's perfume. So have faith in what you believe. Have faith in whatever you're thinking. Don't keep on tweaking yourself to suit other people. And that's why we tell people, be the person that you are. No one can take that away from you. So you don't need to please people to fit in. You don't need to fight with people to fit out. You don't need to be rebelling for everything. You can be with your parents and still have a communication gap. At the end of the day, you are you. Try and bridge the gaps. How do you do that? By being very, very good at communication skills. Understand what I'm saying? So you need to bridge those gaps based on what are the gaps that you have. There's no one way to be. There are many ways to be. I was like a 20-year-old today, 50 years ago. Can you imagine? So people never understood me for what I said or what I did. Today, the same teachers who were throwing me out of the classroom call me back for teacher training. And she says, "Adu eno ondu madidiyalla avaga adu namgu helkodu anta." So you understand? I would say it takes you 50 years sometimes for people to realize. But so long as you're not a people pleaser, so long as you're immune to other people's opinions, be hard on issues but soft on people. I love people. I'll never hurt them. But if it's an issue, then you're dead because I'll kill the issue. And it's as simple as that. So you don't need to shout, scream, nothing. Just be yourself. And it's difficult to be yourself where the whole world is trying to change you. Do you get where I'm coming from? That's all. Encourage people to be themselves. Please allow children to be who they are. Don't live your dreams through your children, for heaven's sake. I couldn't be an engineer, so come be engineer. That kid will be dying a million deaths. I have a man who's trying to make his child an engineer, and that guy wants to be a journalist. And because I took the child's side, the man didn't pay me my consultation. And very recently I went to a media school to give a lecture. There was this tiny little man who was running behind me and he said, "Ma'am, you remember me, you remember me. I'm so-and-so's son. Remember, you helped me to join journalism." And I said, "Tell your dad to pay my fees." So it's as simple as that. Just take things lightly. Take things lightly. Any other questions? Otherwise, thank you for your time.
Thank you.